on the Sherman double homicide investigation. He'll then take questions from our media partners online and then here in the media gallery. Brandon?
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brandon Price. I am a detective sergeant with the Toronto Police Service Homicide Squad. 4 years ago, the Toronto Police Service responded to an emergency call for service at the home on Old Colony Road. When officers arrived, they located Barry and Honey Sherman deceased within their residence. It was later determined that both had died of ligature neck compression. Since that time, members of the Homicide Squad, with the cooperation and support of numerous other Toronto Police Service units, have worked diligently to identify the person or persons responsible. So far, the investigation has involved 41 judicial authorizations, approximately 250 witness interviews, 1,255 tips have been provided to the police from the public, 992 investigative actions have been undertaken. We have remained steadfast in our commitment to bring closure to the Sherman family, their friends, loved ones, and the community. At the outset of this investigation, we seized a very large amount of security video footage. Some of these videos were from locations in the area of Old Colony Road. Numerous individuals were found on the video in the neighborhood, and our team took extraordinary efforts to identify and investigate those individuals to be able to include them or exclude them from our investigation. These efforts included, but were not limited to, requesting video analysis from law enforcement partners such as the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Ontario Provincial Police. Our own forensic video analysis unit conducted photogrammetry measurements. This involves attempts to determine physical identifiers, such as the approximate height of persons captured on the videos. We've also obtained judicial authorizations to collect data from nearby cell phone towers and cross-reference that with the physical locations of individuals on the videos. We've also conducted numerous canvasses of the neighborhood to identify individuals on the videos. We have been able to eliminate the vast majority of people captured on the video. We are left with one individual whom we have been unable to identify. I'll ask that you take a look at the screen and observe this individual. Through our investigation, we have been unable to determine what this individual's purpose was in the neighborhood. The timing of this individual's appearance is in line with when we believe the murders took place. Based on this evidence, we're classifying this individual as a suspect. Though there is a lack of detail in features of this individual, we believe that further information from the public could assist us in making an identification. I would ask that you pay particular attention to the gait or the stride or walk style that this person has on the video. We are not able to provide you with any certainty the person's age, weight, or skin color. However, through photogrammetry performed, we have been able to determine that the suspect in this video is standing between 5'6" and 3/4 and 5'9.5" inches. There may be a legitimate explanation as to what this person's actions were in the area. If you recognize yourself in this video, please come forward so you can be excluded from our investigation. However, it is our hope that someone will come forward with a name when they recognize the individual's walk, the way in which they kick up their right foot with every step, knowing that the person was or is connected to the Sherman family or was in the area on that day at that time. To be clear, this release is in no way an indication of a conclusion to this investigation. From the beginning, this has been a multifaceted investigation, and we will continue to work on various other avenues of investigation that we have undertaken and keep an open mind to new ones. In my recent conversations with the Sherman family, they have asked me to remind the public that their private $10 million reward is still available. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. We're going to go online. First, I will call out your name. If you have a question, please ask. If not, just please say pass, and we will provide another opportunity at the end. Ellen Bessner, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Ellen Bessner with the Canadian Jewish News. Detective Sergeant, are there other people assisting you now with the investigation, or are you still solo?
No, I've never been solo on this investigation. From the beginning, we had a huge complement of officers to sort of take care of the initial mass of data and information processing at the beginning. At this point now, I have my primary partner in this is Detective Constable Yim, who is on a daily basis assigned to this and works diligently on this investigation.
Do you have another question, Ellen?
Not for now, thanks.
Enzo, please go ahead. Oh. Enzo, sorry, please try again. You're muted, Enzo.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. JP Nadeau, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm JP with the CBC French. Detective Sergeant, could you please tell me what time is it on the tape right now? Because from here, on my screen, it seems like it's daylight, but I guess it's nighttime, no?
That's correct. I'm not going to say exactly the time of this clip, but I will say it is in the evening or night hours of December 13th, 2017. And you're correct, it's sort of quite bright, but that's partly to do with the type of camera that was recording.
Do you have another question, JP?
Yes, and the only description you can give is the height of that suspect person?
I think that, you know, when people take a close look at this individual, they'll be able to determine that there's a jacket that's being worn, there's some type of headdress, whether it be a hat or part of a hood, long pants, and some boots that can be seen. Further scrutiny and detail was undertaken to determine with finer, whether, you know, get a better idea of what exactly it was that those items were. And we were unable to sort of determine exactly what type of boot that was, or those kinds of things.
Thanks, JP. Maman Qureshi, do you have a question?
I do, yes. Good morning, Detective Sergeant. Thanks for taking my question. I'm just wondering why, I believe this is the first time the term suspect is being used in this investigation, and why you said this person could potentially be eliminated. So why they're a suspect versus a person of interest? I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Sure. So that's a good question. So this footage is not the only footage of this individual that we have. We have done an exhaustive video canvas of that whole area, and we have, based on the timing of when we believe the murders took place, we have this individual coming into a very defined area around the Sherman's household and remaining in that area for a period and then leaving from that area. So we have been unable to identify what purpose that person had to be within that defined area, and therefore, and the timing is in line with our belief as to when these murders took place, and so that is why we classify this individual as a suspect.
Any follow-up, Maman?
Yeah, just wanted to know if this video has been shared with the members of the Sherman family, and if they were able to give you any information as to whether they know or are unable to recognize this person.
I did share it with the Sherman family, and as always, my conversations with them will remain private, but they have been very supportive and very helpful all the way through this investigation. and I look forward to their continued support.
Thanks. Rob Gillies, AP, do you have a question?
Yes, that's quite a unique gait that he has, the way he walks with that right foot kicking it up. You mentioned there was other video. Why not release the other videos of the suspect?
The reason is that this is amongst the best images of this individual that we have. So we've sort of chosen the best one that has the greatest likelihood of somebody being able to identify this individual from. So that's why we've chosen to release this one.
Okay. Any follow-up, Rob?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Tyler Dawson, please go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned that this individual seen going into a defined area. What do you mean by that? Are they going onto the Sherman's property? Are they on public property, walking down the street? Like what do you mean by defined area? And what makes that of interest?
Yeah, so in our exhaustive video canvas, we were able to get images from nearby on either side, kind of, and around the Sherman household. And this individual walks into that area, does not continue to walk through, but remains in that area that's not covered by video footage, and remains in there and then comes back out sometime later. And that's how we have been able to sort of narrow this individual's location down.
Any follow-up, Tyler?
Yeah, is there anything else to lead you to believe that this person's a suspect other than they sort of go out of camera view for a period of time?
Well, it's a fairly defined area, so, and like I said before, we were able to eliminate pretty well every other person on the video footage that we've obtained, and so we're left with a very glaring sort of unknown with this individual that requires an explanation if there's a legitimate one.
Thanks, everyone. We're just going to move into the room now. Catherine, go ahead, please.
Hi, Catherine McDonald from Global News. Why did it take you 4 years to release this video?
So as you can see, partly to do with the sort of poor quality of the image, the investigative considerations were that the cost to the investigation by releasing this early on would have outweighed the benefit of releasing it early on. So we undertook these investigative steps, exhaustive investigative steps, to identify this individual. And now, having gotten to the point where we have not been able to do so with these videos, this is now the prudent time to release this to the public and seek the public's assistance.
My follow-up is, when you say he goes out of camera and he's in that defined area for a period of time, around the time of the murders, correct? Are we talking 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or a few hours? How long, could you give us an idea how long he was loitering, I guess, or kind of hanging out in that area?
So I'm not going to get into the exact timing of it. I would say, I can just generally answer that it is a very suspicious amount of time. It's in line with our belief as to when these murders took place, and so that's about as tight as I can get you.
And is there any video showing him like leaving in a vehicle or arriving in a vehicle, or do we have any idea how he came to Old Colony Road and left?
So I'm not going to get into that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You mentioned, Detective, that there was a cost that outweighed the benefit at the time. What do you mean when you say cost? Can you expand on that for us?
So, I'm not going to get into what those are, but they're investigative considerations, and that's about as deep as I can get into it with regard to this.
Is it a budget that you didn't want too many phone calls
No,
coming in?
it's not nothing financial. It is a cost to the integrity of the investigation or the potential benefit to the investigation if we identify this individual on our own, as opposed to releasing it widely to the public.
We've been using the word individual. Do we believe it's a man from what you've been able to gather?
You can see this as well as I can. It's very difficult to say with any level of certainty whether this is a male or a female, so I wouldn't declare one or the other at this point.
With this video, do police believe that only one person committed these murders, or are there still potential that it was committed by more than one person?
There's certainly a potential. We're keeping an open mind to that possibility. There's a lot of scenarios, but one thing I can say is that this individual's actions are highly suspicious.
What would you say if there's a critic who says, you know, police are releasing this video because they're at a dead end, and this is a Hail Mary pass to try and solve this crime?
Well, I mean, this is commonly, we get questioned for updates, and the common misconception in the public and often in the press is that nothing's going on when the police are not updating. And really, at the end of the day, the most important thing for us is the integrity of the investigation. And unless it is beneficial to the investigation to release information, it's not going to be something that we're going to do. We are constantly balancing you know, the public interest to know what's going on and to scrutinize the police work, and that is why we have released information. But we do it on a tactical, very calculated and careful timeline, and so we will not rush into releasing information. This, like I said, is a very multifaceted investigation right from the beginning. It continues to be. This was a very complex effort to reach this point. The cellular telephone data portion of this investigation, in attempts to identify this individual, yielded tens of thousands of data lines that needed to be analyzed. These kinds of things take a great deal of time. And earlier I spoke of 992, I believe, investigative actions. Analyzed data from cell phone tower download is one line of the 992 to give you some measure of perspective of what can be going on in this investigation.
If this is the best quality of this person, suspect, and yet what has linked the other videos to think it's the same person?
I mean, it's like when we're tracking individuals, you can logically connect one individual walking out of one frame and into another frame with some measure of certainty. As you can see there, you can tell to some measure the clothing this individual is wearing. It is discernible on the other footage. It's just not as clearly discernible. But we have a great deal of confidence that we have properly tracked this individual to and from the location.
Can you tell us where this video was captured and even which direction the suspect appears to be going in?
No, I'm not going to get into further detail as to the location or the directions of travel. Thank you, though.
How many videos do you have of this person, and what's he doing in the other, or what are they doing in the other video? I presume walking?
So we have gathered 4 terabytes of video footage in this investigation, and a great deal of it was from the area around Old Colony Road and the surrounding neighborhood. I'm not going to get further into it, but the walking is generally the action, leading this individual to and from the defined area.
Is this your biggest lead in the case right now?
I don't know if I would say it's the biggest lead. It's been with us from the early stages of this investigation. It took some time to collect all of this footage. It took some time to analyze the footage to be able to link these images together and identify that this individual's timeline was consistent with when we believe these offenses took place. But there's other avenues of investigation that we have undertaken and are ongoing. This is certainly a valuable piece of evidence, though.
Sergeant, I have 2 questions. you haven't identified them. Have you looked at each of those people to see if they match this person? And have you excluded those people of interest?
So I don't like to say that we've excluded people or included people specifically, so we certainly won't get into that. But it's a consideration. Now, the fact is that nobody can be 100% excluded, because there's always a possibility, and we'll keep an open mind to, that there's more than the one individual who executes the action that may be culpable. So we're certainly keeping an open mind to that, and so.
But you have looked at those people that you've identified as persons of interest to see if their body style and walking matches?
Yes.
You've done that, and they do not?
Well, we need to get a lot more than that to be able to move that any individual that we are looking at to a level of a suspect. But this individual is a suspect.
And the second question, do you have video that shows that person entering the Sherman property?
So I don't think it's, so like I said, it's a very well-defined area around the Sherman property. I won't say whether we have onto specifically the property itself, though.
But there is video across the street on Old Colony that should show you something. And I'm sure you checked that from that homeowner to see if you see this person going in, or does it come in from the street to the north?
All footage that could be collected was collected by the Toronto Police. We have analyzed it all, and I'm not going to get into what exactly we see this individual doing when it comes to the address itself.
And last question, but the defined area, does it include, it obviously includes the Sherman property, does it include a couple of other houses around there, or is the defined area the
No,
law?
it's a well-defined area. It is tight to the Sherman property.
Tight to the Sherman property. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions in the room? Any other questions online?
I have one, sorry, just because it's hard for us who are online to see. This video is going to be on the TPS website, so we can download it, or how do we get it?
Yes, a news release will be published. If it has not been published already, it includes a link to the video as well as a screen capture in a still format as well. If there are any other questions after that news release has been published, you can please contact Corporate Communications. Thanks for joining our news conference today.
Thank you.